Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast we have some of the cast of The Real Girlfriends in Paris, which is Bravo's newest show. It's a lighter show. It's more about like sort of the aspirational lifestyle these women are leading in Paris as expats, and it's not as drama focused as some of the housewives have been recently, but I kind of like that. It's kind of a nice balance from that because some of them have felt pretty intense recently. So I really enjoyed the first few episodes of this show. Again, it's kind of different fare for Bravo that we're used to, but this group of women is really great. I got to talk to 4 of them. 2 of them I couldn't talk to because of scheduling conflict, but I just talked about kind of what people can expect from the show and what they're like, what the role they play in the group, how they know each other. Obviously when that trailer first dropped, I was not the only one who saw some Emily in Paris vibes attached to this show. It's kind of like a real life group of Emily in Paris's, but I want to know sort of what they think about that comparison, whether that makes them roll their eyes, whether they like that comparison. They had different answers to that. And this show really does focus on more of their personal stories, and some of them have some really great stories to tell. So I do recommend this show. And if you want sort of an introductory look to what you can expect, keep listening to this interview. Tune in to Real Girlfriends in Paris, Mondays at 9 p.m. The premiere is on September 5th. And please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Anya Firestone and Emily Gorelick from Real Girlfriends in Paris on Bravo. Premieres next week. You guys, the show is so fun. It's so like just aspirational, and it really kind of transports you in a different way than I think other Bravo shows do. How are you guys feeling with the show almost out there?
It's getting real. It's getting real girlfriends in Paris. It's a lot of emotions. I think we've never done something like this before. So, of course we were feeling very vulnerable, but at the same time excited for the world to see the real Paris. And
yeah, I think it's, filming was great. I think just showing our real lives, and, part of it is glamorous, but part of it is not. And it takes a lot of chutzpah, as they say in New York, to come here by yourself, like not speaking the language for many, and learning the ins and outs of French bureaucracy and the pace of things. And so we're excited to really showcase all that realness, but how we deal with it. Voila.
Yeah. And in the first episode, several of you described the group of expats that you're in on this show as being another kind of family for you guys, because you're away from home. You have this kind of tight-knit group of 6 women that you're with, all Americans. What role do each of you sort of play in the group for people that are, obviously this is a new show, so what kind of role can people expect each of you to play?
it's funny because I think you got 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
Totally.
You got mama and you got baby.
Everything
in between, everyone's
else is in between. No, and I don't know, Emily and I are extremely close, and she is the youngest, I am the eldest, and I'm the mom, Anya, but the thing is I came to Paris when I was younger than Emily, and I have been through all the things Emily's gone through and that the other girls are going through. If it's visa work, if it's dating, if it's trying to decide what you want to focus on, if it's figuring out like which paperwork and how many photocopies to bring to the prefecture. They say 2, you bring 5. So in that case, yes, because I have the experience, I've been able to act as more of a maman figure to the women, and I like to feed them.
and that meal in the first episode looked amazing. So you clearly do an amazing job at hosting.
Merci.
I lost my meat. my pescatarian.
Our Emily, when we were put in contact with each other, I asked her if she had plans for Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish holiday, and she didn't. So I was like, oh my goodness, you must come for dinner. And she said she was a vegetarian. And I was like, it just took me a month to secure a brisket in Paris. You're going to eat the meat. And she ate it. And
I ate the meat, and it was, and I haven't been a pescatarian since. So
Anya's impact. I love it.
Exactly. Mama.
So how do all of you get connected? Because I'm presuming that it's friend of friend situations, or it's like, oh, I know this person who lives there. Yeah. Is that sort of how it works?
Yeah,
that's most definitely how it works. I think that being in your 20s or 30s in Paris as Americans. It's a very small community. And it's very pretty much standard to say, I know this person through that person, or a friend of a friend of a friend. And that's kind of how you build a network here and build your American family here. And it's been like that since I've moved here. And we've all just been very lucky enough to come together and all sort of blend so well. We find sort of a home in each other.
And I think what's kind of nice about this show is like, I mean, it doesn't have like the emphasis on drama between a bunch of women. It's a different, it's an ensemble show, but it's a different kind of ensemble show than I think the Bravo viewers like generally used to. Is that sort of what, that must be like a positive part about this experience, that you aren't being weighed down by like throwing glasses and things like that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I joked before that like, the Real Housewives throw cake at each other and we eat cake together because we're in Paris and it's delicious, and Marie Antoinette said
Let them eat cake. Yeah, exactly.
So they're definitely, we each, I think, struggle with our own personal dramas more than interpersonal. I mean, surely we're a group of women, so things will come up, but it's a different kind of drama than Bravo's used to.
And I think that's what makes it very Sex and the City-esque, in the sense that we all have our own individual lives, careers, struggles, personalities that we're all leading independently, and we sort of come together as a group of friends. So yeah, it's more so personal struggles, personal conflicts, rather than within the group. And I think that's what makes it very Sex and the City-esque.
Totally. And something I noticed in the first episode when you guys are at the Friendsgiving meal, and something that I found really refreshing, honestly, was we were watching a group of women in their 20s and 30s talk really openly about sex and sexuality and their love lives in a way that just like you don't always see. And I don't know, it was a very frank conversation. I found it really, really refreshing. I'm curious if you guys think that that's more of like an American thing that you guys bring to Paris, or a thing that you've picked up like about the way that the French like talk about just like more openly about sex or something like that, because it just felt different than other American reality shows, in my opinion.
I think personally, of course, I'm 22 years old, and I moved here when I was 18, so that's like right when I started kind of even exploring sexuality, to be honest. So for me, those past few years here, I felt that Parisians and French in general have a very different perspective on sex and love. I think it's way more open, and I think people aren't afraid to talk about it. It's not taboo.
Right. I also think the women that you're dealing with are not afraid to talk about anything, because we're also, I think, like I said, like it takes chutzpah to go and move to a foreign country and try to establish yourself and not be mistaken for certain stereotypes. And so there is a certain openness and comfort with oneself that you need to have when you come to Paris. And because the French will say, no, no, no. And sometimes you have to be like, actually, yeah. And talk about why I can actually do this. So I think also, beyond the French component, I think personality wise, I think we are 6 women who are not shy to talk about real things.
Totally.
If you can't talk about sex, you cannot just pick up your life and move here alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. No, it all makes sense. And lastly, I think we're out of time, but when I first saw the trailer for the show, I obviously, one of the things that popped into my mind was Emily in Paris, and those comparisons are going to be there. What do you think about that comparison? Is that like an eye roll, or is that like okay, I get it?
It's both. I mean, I think we two get it the most, because maybe I dress a little eccentrically, sometimes have a middle part, found a man from Normandy. I'm in the fashion collaboration marketing thing. And then we have Emily.
I mean, I cannot step foot anywhere without someone saying, oh Emily in Paris. And for that reason, I love it, because there's a certain stereotype that actually sometimes is like positive, in the sense that it's romanticized and she's quirky and fun and interesting. But of course, there's so much more to the story as being two little Emily's in Paris.
And in some ways, you guys will break out of that expectation.
But that's the point also, is that like, I think a lot of, people roll their eyes and say, oh, what? It's the reality version of that. But it's the reality of, you know, being a young independent woman trying to make something happen. I mean, what I do admire about Emily in that show is like her chutzpah, like
Yeah.
that she is a
She has
go-getter.
some
And
of
I
that.
think you do have, you know, go-getter women in this group.
Definitely. I think all of us
But
have
there
that.
is a depth and there are struggles that Emily does not have to deal with, and we have to deal with them. And so you'll definitely see that this season.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, guys, for your time. I'm excited for
Thank
the show
you.
and for everyone to see it. And, you know, it will be a great first season.
Woohoo!
We hope.
Très bien.
Merci,
Thank you, guys.
Gibson.
Bye. All right, so I'm here with Margo Lignell and Victoria Zito from Real Girlfriends in Paris, Bravo's newest show. I've watched the first 2 episodes and it is so fun. Thanks for being here, you guys. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great.
Thank
How
you
are
for
you?
having us.
I'm good. How does it feel to have this show almost out there?
Nerve-wracking, but exciting.
Yeah, so exciting, a little, you know, nerve-wracking as well.
I mean, and I was talking earlier with Anya and Emily, and I was saying how one of the things that I liked about this show is that it's not your typical Bravo show, and that it's centered around like intense drama. Like there's an aspirational aspect to this. There's a kind of wanderlust aspect to this of like kind of wanting to be in Paris, and we still are like there for your personal journeys and different issues that you face, but like it's not around like fighting and things like that. Is that a positive part of this experience for you guys, that it's not necessarily like a super drama focused show that you're on?
I mean, absolutely. I think that it's just our real lives, you know, and I think that, you know, we all come from different backgrounds and do different things, and we all help each other out to like learn how to navigate this journey together, because at the end of the day, we're all navigating being American expats in Paris, and that always brings us back down together. So I think it's really refreshing, and you know, it's just our authentic relationships in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree completely. Like it's our real life, and obviously like there's bickering and there's ups and there's downs, as all friendships have, but it's really a unique situation to have these girls to lean on, and it's a lot more genuine and wholesome, I would say, than other franchises.
Right. How did you guys get connected? Is it like earlier they were saying how it's really kind of just friends of friends that connect all of you guys, but how did you guys kind of get in this group?
We have sorry, you can go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was like, we have a good handful of mutual friends in New York. And then one of my really good friends put me in touch with her a while before filming even started and all of that. And then we realized we were both doing the show. So we got excited that we're both doing it together. So yes, we were definitely probably the closest prior to filming.
That's so fun. That's so fun. And Victoria, you have a big first episode. I mean, the end of that first episode, I don't want to necessarily ruin it for people. This will probably come out before that episode comes out, so I don't want to ruin it for people. But you know, you share something something big about your life, and you do it on camera. And I think that I you know, as I thought that was very brave, and I commended you for sharing that. It was an emotional, really awesome moment. Was that hard for you to do it on camera like that? Or did you feel like, okay, you know, this is a group that I'm comfortable with, and it doesn't matter if their cameras are there or not?
I mean, firstly, you're gonna make me tear up. Thank you. It was really hard. But you know, and it's what I end up sharing. You know, I'm really thankful to have my best friend Margo there next to my side. She had known this for a while, and I think that if I hadn't had her there, it would have been a different experience. And as she said, when her and I first met, we like immediately fell in like best friend love, right? So like we immediately got like so close, and like just having someone, you know, I think a support system around you is really, really important, especially in super hard topics and things like that. And, you know, at the end of the day, and as you see, like, I'm just really thankful for this, you know, particular group of girls, you know, and their support and love. And it just makes navigating life, you know, a bit easier, especially in Paris.
Definitely. And honestly, I'm sure that once that comes out, like you're going to feel that on such a different scale too. And I think that it's probably hard to prepare for that, but like you're going to feel some love. I'm sure of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Margo, you have family in Paris. Like you have obviously this group of expats that are kind of a family group for you too, but like you have actual family in Paris.
Yeah.
And,
all of that.
right. All of them. And what's that like, sort of, I mean, because you're kind of you're charting your own path and you're figuring out what exactly you want to do moving forward with your life, but you
Yes.
also have these kind of more complex relationships with some of your family members that are also going to be clearly interwoven throughout the show.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm facing my family for the first time in a long time. I'm also facing my parents' divorce in Paris. Like I hadn't lived in Paris since they had divorced. And I'm also facing my relationship with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously great to have my family around and my siblings around and all of that, but it's also, I've always lived since I was 16 away from them.
Right.
So not in the same city full time, even though I see them all the time, it's not the same thing.
It's different.
It's different. So yeah, this year I really like, that's like a big thing is facing my family dynamic and the bumps that come with that.
Mm-hmm. So I brought this up on my other interview again, but I think obviously for a lot of people, the initial sort of thought when the trailer first dropped, it's like, oh, this is like a real life group of Emily and Paris's, right? Like that's sort of like what, because I think just because of the cultural like relevance of that show over the past couple of years from Netflix has been, does that prompt like an eye roll from you guys, or is that like, oh, like haha, like that's a natural comparison? Like, how do you think about that comparison? Because it's a natural one for people to make, right?
I think it's super natural. I think it's one I would definitely be like, oh, they've made a real life Emily in Paris. They were inspired. Do I think that we are real life Emily's in Paris? No, we have imperfection and perfection, and there's all that in between, and it's a lot rawer, and it's not so romanticized and all of that. But it definitely was inspired by that show.
Yeah, I agree with Margo that, I think it's common for anyone to make the comparison, especially with how popular Emily in Paris was. But we've been living our lives in Paris prior to Emily in Paris. And I think that our show is a little bit different, or really honestly a lot different, because this is just it's not scripted, and these are our real lives. And so I think that it does show a more authentic Paris that I'm really excited to get to share with friends and family. And as people, as come from Texas and have family in Louisiana and have never been out of the country, and for them to get to see the real life of Paris, not just a glamorized or a romanticized scripted version.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned earlier, because on the first episode, several of you guys kind of described this group as being somewhat of a family for you, because you guys have each other to lean on and whatnot. What kind of roles do you guys both play within the group? Like for people that are excited about this show, like what can they expect from you both individually, kind of as it kind of pertains to the group?
I would say that I think I do well at getting along with everyone. I'm a very like a mediator vibe person.
Why are you laughing so much? Would you not say the same, Victoria?
No, because but she's my best friend on the show, in general, but obviously
right.
If you see the show, you'll realize that me and Vic are especially close, as Emily and Anya are, and all of that. There's some friendships, right. There others. But I'm just laughing just because I don't know why she's laughing. We can't. We're teasing.
I'm laughing because you're asking, if this was a family, who would be who? Obviously, Anya is more of a mother role in a way. And then Emily is one of the fun younger sisters. And I feel like I'm just kind of that aunt that is kind of crazy and is just very passionate about a lot of things. And I'm just laughing, and I'm laughing because Margo's I'm the mediator, and there are a few, as a little teaser, there are a few times that Margo has to be Victoria, and I'm so there's you'll see throughout the season. So that's why I was laughing, because she was I'm the mediator, and I'm
I am.
Yep, that's right.
So I'm getting a little teaser about what the dynamic's going to be. I like this. So Margo, you bring things back down to earth a little bit.
Yes, I do that. I try to bring her back down to earth.
She brings me back down to calm.
Right. There we go. And do you both feel sort of, I guess, prepared for what? Because being on a Bravo show, newly on a Bravo show, a completely new series. I mean, there's a lot that comes with that, and just the social media of it all, just added attention in general. Do you feel prepared for that aspect of this?
I mean, can you really be prepared for that?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
I think that, you know, going back down to us being a family, I think we're really thankful that regardless, at the end of the day, you know, we love and care for each other so much, and that we have each other through this experience. And obviously we have our, you know, they say that when you join Bravo, it's kind of like joining a sorority in a way, like, you know, you can kind of relate to the other Bravo stars in a way. And, you know, we're thankful that we have our elders to look up to on how to do this, because this is like a whole new generation of a show. And, you know, I don't think there's really anything that can prepare you for this, because, you know, the Bravo, as you know, like Bravo fans are a whole different level, a whole different ball game.
Totally. Margo, what about for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's totally hit me 100%. I think it will when the show is airing and I get like my first round of like people reacting to it. I don't know if I'm ready. I think I need a little, I'm sensitive, so I think I need a little thicker skin.
You're right, right. Don't look,
listen,
just don't look at the comments. I'm sure they'll be positive, but yeah.
There's always going to be hate, but I hope there's more good than bad.
Yeah, for sure. And Victoria, for you, I mean, circling back to the story that you're bringing to the show, it's like, you got married when you were 21, and then you were divorced, you know, before filming the show. And does this show represent sort of like a clean slate for you, or just sort of like I mean, maybe not a clean slate, but just a new beginning, a new start for you in some sort of ways?
Absolutely. It's a new chapter. And I think that, you know, as we mentioned, with what happens in the first episode, you know, I think this is a whole new chapter for me that I'm really excited about, to, you know, just, you know, truly just living for myself and living for my like authentic self. And, you know, it's kind of like hard to even say that too, because we're always learning and growing and understanding who we are as a person. And I just feel like this is the first time that I'm really just like living for me.
And Margo, as her best friend in the group, it must make you feel pretty good to watch her embrace that.
No, I'm so proud of her, and I've been proud of her this whole season. But I think we're both equally proud of each other. We've seen each other go through really like times and bumpy times. But we both, you know, we got to the other end, and it's exciting. And I'm excited for everyone else to get to watch it.
Me too. Well, I think that's all the time we have, but thank you so much, you guys, for taking the time. And I'm excited for everyone to see this show. It's really, it's a fun watch.
Okay. I'm so
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in to We Should Talk. I hope you enjoyed the interview. You can find out more about In the Know at intheknow.com. You can follow me, Gibson Johns, at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our interviews, past and future, by searching We Should Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you next time.